I'm resident of Collinwood, Jules Sange, joined by my friends Don Schmidt and Susie. How are you folks?
I'm doing great.
We're here to we're here to talk Nicholas Blair. No, you cannot hear the stories we told prior; those are confidential. Um, but so, Susie, what did you think of everyone's favorite Uncle Warlock, Nicholas Blair? Here,
What did I think of him? Well, I really liked him. One of the things that appealed to me originally was that when Angelique came back as Cassandra, um, I hated her. I was like, oh my god, this bitch. I sh Everything that she did, in my opinion, it was like worse than a lot of the stuff that Angelique did in 1795. So when he came, I thought, oh gosh, now it's like double trouble. It's going to be more evil. But what I liked about him is that he kind of felt the same way about her that I did. It was almost like he resented going there to help her. He seemed almost annoyed with her and like um she was beneath him. Um he used words like your ridiculous curse and stuff like that. So I like that he didn't like her so much. So that's what I first that's when I was like, all right, what is he gonna do to her? So I liked that.
Don.
Well, I agree with Susie. I mean, when 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 Cassandra saw Jonathan Fritz's face, I have to be honest. It's like when he saw that portrait, and he says, you know, I've been having to put. I said, I can't believe I'm still putting up with this shit after 150 plus years, and just the look on his face, and it's just like she's just the thing that wouldn't leave, and it's like she really annoyed me because she bamboozled Roger, cast a spell on him to so they could get married, and it's like you're still wreaking havoc on the Collins family. And when Nicholas Blair shows up, you didn't really quite okay, what is this and how is this going to, I mean, Carolyn really didn't like him, but he kept her in check because he was always like 3 or 4 steps ahead of her. And he kept her under control. And it's like, the big boys are in town. You're not going to get away with the main man and don't cross me. So I really like that dynamic. I think that brought in a whole new element to the show, at least for her character.
It's really interesting what happens too. Before you're introduced to Nicholas, before Angelique gets tied to a tree and stuff. There's a moment between Cassandra and Tony Peterson where when she introduces herself not as Cassandra Collins, but as Cassandra Blair. So the seeds for the Blair name are planted right there before Nicholas ever shows up. Now, for us old school DS fans, we we've heard the name Blair at the beginning because, well, uh, Ryan Mitchell Ryan's character Burke Devlin had a Blair working for him. Which I thought for a second, well, wait, is this gonna? When I heard the name Blair, I'm like, wait, is this gonna be the same dude? Like, no, it isn't. But but it's really cool. Humphrey Allen Ostrander had so much sex appeal, like, and so charming. Like, he was the guy you wanted to chill with, even though you knew he was a badass.
Well, I think that every time Humbert came on, he just had this energy that he brought onto the set, and he was so focused. I never heard him flub a line. Not that I'm criticizing anybody that does. I was a drama major, so it's really hard. But he is so his concentration and focus, Jewel. I think when he was there, he kind of brought everybody up with him. He was intense, but he could be really scary, but he could be so funny. Humbert was having it every time he was on camera. He looked like he was having the time of his life.
Yeah. What did you think of him, Susie? Like his look, his style.
Oh, 100. I agree with Dawn. I loved how I think that they cast him perfectly. They did his makeup, the arched eyebrows, the mustache, the hat. He looked like somebody who could be, evil. Um, so he definitely had the look down. Um, I liked his range because he could be very evil, but also, like you said, very charismatic. And
Yeah.
also, a lot of the Dark Shadows characters have
Sorry.
the ones that have something to hide. You can always kind of see through it, through the lies or whatever. But with him, he really played off like, like a father of lies type, because he would, the way that he would speak, his tone would kind of like lower, and he sounds compassionate. It's like when he's talking to Carolyn about Adam, when he's talking to Maggie Evans, he sounds
Mhm.
so sincere, so compassionate. You feel like you can trust him, like he really cares about you. And you'd have no idea what was up his sleeve.
Yeah, he was somebody who he didn't try to show too much emotion. He tried to remain very calm. He was very smooth.
Mhm.
But when he did, by God, you knew when he
Oh,
was mad though too. One of my favorite moments was when Cassandra's going to bring the axe down on Adam because she realizes Adam is the one stopping the dream curse, and Nicholas is just standing behind her with like these raised eyebrows, like, no, what are you doing, girl? Which I love
well,
because good.
well, Joel, he did the same. He was always ahead of her. There was another scene at the house that he was renting, and she had been turned into a vampire. And here comes in, Deputy Sheriff McHunk, and she was gonna, and, because that guy was good. That guy was a hunk, and she
Yeah.
was all like, and she was gonna go, and right before you hear this voice, Angelique, what are you doing? I don't know. I just love that, and she was like, you could just tell her, damn, and he told her, he says, you almost wrecked everything. That would have been a disaster. But he was always ahead of her. I forgot about the axe, but yeah, he was always in the shadows. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Nicholas was like, I need to keep a shot collar on this vampire here or something.
Yes,
It's like I
definitely.
can't leave the room, and you can't either. What's so crazy is her punishment for basically disobeying Nicholas is to become a vampire. He made the choice. Okay, I'll let you become a vampire so you can still serve under me. And then she's trying to do her own thing, and it's like, no, no, what are you doing? No, like he needs. He has this mirror where he can see other people. He just needs the shock collar for Angelique. He just needs to
Yeah.
have this. Hey, when the vampire is moving out of the coffin, that like a little alarm goes off or something. He needed that for her because Angelique was nothing but trouble, even when she was a vampire.
I think he turned her into a vampire just so he could have his days back.
Yeah, seriously.
That is a
See?
great point. That is
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. Because it's like at least I can watch her at night, right?
Yeah.
But
Yes.
then he starts like macking on Maggie, and it's like,
Oh,
dude, like Catherine Lee Scott's hot. Like I don't blame Humphrey Allen Alstrado's character at all for making the moves on Maggie. I mean, pretty much we have Joe Haskell who's made the moves on Maggie, so it's like, why not Humphrey? I mean, he may not be the G shucks fella, but hey, every girl loves a bad boy, right? I mean, my wife married me, so I got this. Yeah.
Well, you guys know that that's why I call my husband Mr. Evans, because as soon as he saw her, he was like, "Who is that?"
Yeah,
He
she
thinks that she's like the hottest chick on Dark Shadows.
she so beautiful. And Jewel, you've said it before on your broadcast, I mean, so beautiful. And the black and white when she's coming down the stairs in the old house and doing the calling little boy. I mean, she was just so, I mean, a great actress, but just so beautiful. You're right.
Yeah, Catherine Lee Scott, when you first actually get to see her in the Josette wedding dress, it isn't
Mm-hmm.
1795. It's actually in the black and white episode when Barnabas kidnaps Maggie and she's coming down the steps, and
Oh,
she looks absolutely stunning. And so, when you see like these guys making these supernatural creatures making these moves on these mere mortals, it's like, yeah, I could see that. I can see why you're doing that. I mean, she's a beautiful woman. She's
mhm.
very nice, but the scene of scenes is when Lucifer, when Satan talks out of Maggie's mouth. That's
Oh yeah,
gold. That is
yeah.
gold.
No, that was so perfect. And I mean, Nicholas Blair, I mean, he looked like he really, really cared about her.
He did.
Like he really didn't want anything to happen to her. I mean, he was shook when that happened. I mean, really, he was so concerned.
Yeah. What did you think of that, Don?
Well, I think that I it was it. I mean, it showed Nicholas's human. I mean, it was his Achilles heel as us being human, that it was a good thing, but love was a downfall. I mean, Diablos doesn't want anything to do with love, and if you do that, you're going to be in big trouble. So it was kind of like the beginning of the end of Nicholas right there.
Yeah.
That is a really good point. That is
Yeah.
a really, really good point, because wasn't he always like criticizing Angelique for the whole Barnabas thing?
Yeah.
And he's
Yes.
like turning around and doing the same thing almost.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
he did, yeah.
See, it lets you know that it begs the question: was Nicholas always a warlock, or was Angelique always a witch? And so those seeds are sort of planted here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, really, the seed, even more so here than anywhere in 1795, because it's like, if you're really that bad, how can you fall in love? How like, if you're that
Oh,
evil, like, how could you even come to the fallacy of falling in love? And it's like, well, wait, you were probably human at some point with
Mm-hmm.
Nicholas, and he's just,
yeah.
he's made whatever allegiance with the devil. He wants to make a bunch of atoms. I love how they get they get Carolyn to help in the Eve. They get Carolyn and Maggie to help in the Eve experiment.
Oh God.
Come on. Maggie gets her memory back of when Barnabas kidnapped her. It's like, God,
Oh,
like, things are not looking good for our buddy Barnabas right now.
Well, you know what? It was a year later, and there was Willie and Maggie back in the damn crypt, doing it all over again. It was it was intense. I was exhausted. There's something between with John Carlin and Catherine Lee Scott. They had this chemistry, and I wasn't saying boyfriend girlfriend. They were buddies. They were really tied, and their scenes could get very intense between Maggie and Willie. And I'm rambling, Joel, but yeah, it was just
no,
like
you're right
like
about that,
it,
because
it was it was yeah. Go ahead.
I just he had so much concern for her, but
Yeah,
he had like almost like a big brother kind of
yeah.
protection thing, and yeah, not like boyfriend and girlfriend, but definitely he loved Maggie for sure.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I had maybe not in love with her, but he loved her wholeheartedly.
I,
Mhm.
I think unlike Nicholas, John Carlin's Willie Loomis loved Maggie for the person she was.
Yeah.
Right.
And instead of just being in love with her to kiss her or something, because here's a guy who went to go warn Maggie that Barnabas was coming after her. And what was Willie's thank you? Some bullet holes from the Collinsport finest police department ever. Because they have nothing better to do at Collinsport than to practice shooting ranges at the gun range. And I'm sure there are pictures of Willie Loomis at that gun range. But I mean, no bullets touch the glass. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all you need to know. No bullets touch the glass. That's it. But
That's how good they were.
yeah, right. It's like that. There's our target. Bam, bam. It's like Jesus. Sam Loomis wasn't that good. Jesus Christ. But uh, these every Collinsport police officer graduated from the Shadow Academy of Shooting. I swear the Shadow's in charge of the Collinsport Police Department somehow. But because when he aimed at something, he hit it. But and so the death. But you have when Willie comes out of the sanitarium finally after all
Mhm.
that, after they come back from 1795 and stuff, and they're doing the Adam arc. Willie is very much crazed at times. Like he's like Barnabas is way wrong for having him go out of that sanitarium, but the one person he remembers fondly is Catherine Lee Scott's Maggie Evans, and he keeps going to her, and she actually screams, and he goes, "No, no, I don't want to hurt you, and I wasn't coming there to hurt you. I was coming here to that night to warn you." And when he says it, he's so sincere,
Mhm.
and it's like you see that, oh my God, he's not in love with her, but he loves her as a person and he cares for her to the degree he doesn't want nothing to happen to her. And it's so criminally good with Carlin and Catherine Lee Scott that it's one of the most underrated moments, like during the Adam arc, because even Maggie, I think the reason Maggie finally remembers is because why? Barnabas isn't a vampire anymore. There's no power. Julia has completely stopped hypnotizing Maggie and stopped checking on her patient. So finally, you get this. You kidnapped me, and here's the thing too. There's no consequences for our buddy Barnabas in this. So hey, it's all good.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean,
I'll just take care. Go ahead.
oh no. I was just thinking because it's been a while since I've watched these episodes. Was it just me, or was it almost like he wanted her to really remember? Like there was a part of him that didn't want to keep that secret. Like he wanted everything out in the open, right?
Yeah. Yeah, eventually, because he's somebody who's now, again, Barnabas is making decisions in the Adam arc that he probably wouldn't have made pre 1795. He makes a decision to not use Jeff Clark's face, even though it's presented to him. He goes, no, let him go and let him live. He's basically letting Victoria Winters go by doing this, and he knows it. And it's one of those moments. That's where Barnabas is sort of first becoming your hero, when he's making those conscious decisions, and when he makes the Maggie decision too, which is well after that. It just reaffirms, hey, this is our hero now. You know,
Yeah.
what did you guys think of Nicholas's I'm Angelique's posing as Angelique's brother. What a, and I love how Barnabas sort of recognizes him too.
I I liked that he didn't show up as anything other than her brother, because I think that when he walked in and met Roger, I think that Roger was almost relieved to have
Mhm.
another man who knows her, who cares about her, who loves her, who's a relative, show up, because she was missing at that point, right? When he came, when Nicholas Blair showed up, she wasn't around, and I think that he Roger was almost relieved to have him at
Mm-hmm.
Collinwood. So I like that there wasn't it wasn't like a threat or anything. He I know Roger doesn't like people staying at Collinwood, but when Nicholas showed up, he immediately said, "Oh, you can stay here, and you can have one of the rooms upstairs." Um and there was a scene that kind of made me laugh, and I don't remember exactly that what he said, but he said something like she um Angelique has, or Cassandra has to be disciplined, like she needs it, kind of like insinuating that, you have to kind of be rough with her. So just, that made me laugh. But I did like that he showed up, pretending to be her brother.
Yeah. Don?
About him, I think it was probably the most effective way to bring him in, because how else would you explain Nicholas?
Yeah.
Why else would you be here? Well, if you're a sibling, which is about as close as you could be, unless it was your son or daughter, and obviously they were closer in age to be siblings. I think that's the only way they were able to go, and how it would give him some wiggle room to worm his way into the family. Although I'll say it again, Carolyn wasn't having any of it. And there's a line that has stuck with me. So they're in the drawing room, and she keeps calling him Mr. Blair. Why don't you call me Nicholas? And she has this great line. She says, "We're an old New England family, Mr. Blair. We're not used to instant familiarities." And I'm going, girl, you go with that. You just
Yeah.
go with it. She read him like a book. So there wasn't going to be any, I mean, Liz was, she was the great hostess. And of course, that would be Roger's brother-in-law. But
Yeah.
Carolyn didn't really give a crap. But I think that was the only way they could bring him in.
Yeah, and Victoria didn't like him either, right?
Oh, I don't know. She did. Well, she knew that was Angelique, and anybody connected with Cassandra / Angelique, she wasn't going to have any of it. None of it.
Well, what's interesting too is Victoria Alexander Mokial's ISILs. Everyone likes to say, well, all she said was, I don't know what's going on." That's not necessarily true, because she
Right.
calls Nicholas a warlock, and he goes, "Is that what I am?" And she's like, "Yeah," and it's like, oh shit, like, Vicky girl, if there was ever a time to leave.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I mean, when you're messing with a witch is one thing, but when you're messing with a warlock, it's like things just got real now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
was
totally.
higher on the scale than
Yeah.
than Cassandra. I mean, he was in charge.
Yeah. And
Yeah. And wasn't there like where he said something to her about the potions, like, "Oh, am I, I'm not an apprentice, that's going to be spiking people's drinks," or something like that. He's like, he's like, "This is ridiculous," when she wanted him to put the thing in Victoria's drink.
yeah,
Yeah.
he basically downplayed all her little spells as pretty much parlor tricks. Like, he did not.
Yeah.
He was very like, no, you're just, you're beneath me. Like, this is basically the magician and the magician's assistant, and the magician just telling the magician's assistant that you just go. I'll handle this. Though this is your mess, I'll handle this. And that's Nicholas. I mean, but he does it so smoothly. It's like, God, can you be my uncle? Because he's so cool. But I'll say this too, like, there's the moment when like you go down into hell and you meet the devil, and he's got these binoculars, he's got these big thick glasses underneath the hood. It's like, it's Satan. And then I love, to the religious group who got this, who fought this, you suck. But, because to me, it's like, this is no big deal. It's just a fictional character. What are you doing?
Well, exactly. And Joel, just to digress just a little bit, when they're both down there, I almost have the feeling it's like Diablos go, you guys drive me crazy. You guys just wreak mayhem. I don't want you. The best thing I could do, if I'm going to get back in humanity, you need to go back up there, because you drive. I just had this thought in my mind. It's like, you guys just get out of here. Just wreak your havoc on humanity. Leave me alone. It really made me think a lot when they brought Satan on the show. It's like, okay, we're cutting to the chase. This is the center of where everybody's getting their marching orders from. And yeah, I've read the stuff where a lot of the ABC affiliates in the South just stopped running the show, at least for a while, after the Black Mass.
I never knew that until I started watching Jules's podcasts and I heard him talk about it. I never knew that until then.
Yeah, they were. Look, I come from two very different. My mom was Christian. My father was Catholic. Okay, so religion was constantly butting heads in the Saints household when I was growing up. But this is why I don't take religion so seriously. And it's like, don't get me wrong, I love God, but it's like, when I see entertainment television, it's like, I'm not going to get mad at somebody for having the devil on their program. Right. It's a part of a story, for God's sakes. And this is something I've always stressed with Dark Shadows too. It's like, for anybody in the South to pull programming was silly and just stupid. Because it's like, it's a story. It's like, this is before I say what they should have done, because I've said it before. Who would you have got if they could have casted? If we could have seen a visible person, not a hood, but if we could have got a person, who would you guys have casted in 1968 for the devil?
Dang, I know that you asked that question once a while ago, and I had the perfect answer. I mean, the perfect answer for me, and now I forgot. Shoot.
See, where you make the devil really dangerous, and I think they've done this on some streaming shows, and I can't think. I'd have to put my 60s cap on and think about, but you want somebody really good looking, because some guy that's really good looking, that is the threat, because they're not who they appear. You think good looking people are good, and when you have a really good, great looking, charismatic devil, that's when you're going to have problems. So I'd have to think about who is really the good looking guy back then. I can't think of off the top of my head, Jewel, but it's something I'll work on.
I'll give you two names for the 60s. One name I've said before, Rod Serling would have been perfect for the devil. I mean, by God, if Dan Curtis and Rod Serling could have got together for Rod Serling to play the devil, my God,
that would have been awesome.
That would have been really interesting.
Like, holy, because Rod Serling, like, could you see like this calm voice telling you, "Well, Mr. Barnabas, I'm the devil," and doing it with this like, "Oh shit."
Hell yeah, that's a really good one.
But for handsome, I mentioned this actor before for another role for Caleb Sayers Collins, and he could have played the devil too, because he played the devil later in life, would be Peter Fonda, Henry's son.
That's interesting. That's an interesting choice, Joel.
Like, because he was always a good actor. Peter was. And he would have been the right age. He'd have been young and handsome. And again, this was pre-Easy Rider, so he wasn't a big Hollywood star yet.
Damn, those are good ones.
Yeah, Peter Fonda. Both of them. And I'm just thinking back Rod Serling had episodes of The Twilight Zone that did deal with the devil.
Yes.
Oh, and they were scary. I would, well, I don't want to digress too much, but I was raised Catholic. Maybe because I grew up in Los Angeles, it's a little more liberal. I don't know, but my parents would never prevented me from watching Dark Shadows, and I think they had it on even when I wasn't really into the show yet. And it's like it's on.
That's the thing. Like my parents, both their religions are considered strict. But my mother introduced me to horror, and my dad, he didn't care what I watched. It's like my mom was like, "What are you watching now? Dark Shadows?" Yeah, I've seen that before. And she's like, "Did the vampire show up?" I'm like, "Did what?"
Wow.
Because it was pre 2/11 when she said that, and I'm like, "Did what now?" What do you mean vampire? There's gonna be a vampire? Then when Barnabas showed up, like, yes.
Yeah.
But that was like when she did that to me. She's like, "Hey, did the vampire show up?" And I'm just like, because I'm sitting in my chair in my bedroom, and I'm like, "What? Mom, come back! What did you say?" She's like,
Go ahead. Sorry.
She's like, "Now get your butt up and do the laundry while it's on commercial break." I said, "All right."
Angel, I remember my parents as a little kid watching that run of The Prisoner on CBS when it aired on now. That my parents were always watching stuff like that. And one of my mom's favorite shows was The Invaders on ABC. They were always into that kind of stuff, the Outer Limits, anyway.
My grandfather showed. I was lucky enough to watch westerns with my grandfather, and he showed me Have Gun Will Travel. What a series!
That was very famous.
If you've never seen it, my God, Richard Boone as Paladin. It's basically like Batman, but it's a Western Batman, basically.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Really, really good.
Wow.
Go ahead, guys. I'm rambling.
Oh.
No, I'm very partial to 60s television. Dark Shadows is a part of that. We've heard Danielle did a Christmas thing with her Uncle Val, and he was going off on all the shows I'd watch, all the Irwin Allen shows, Voyage of Bussy, Time Tunnel, Lost in Space, Land of the Giants, all those shows. And it was just and then like The Prisoner, you've been doing podcasts on The Prisoner, and it was just all this great television. And I guess it's as good now, but there's something special about that era. Have Gun Will Travel and all that.
There's a video I'm going to do after we get done with this one, and it's going to be called Dark Shadows, Purely Attitude, and basically how Dark Shadows, when I watched Dark Shadows as a teenager, how it was fitting in with the program that I was watching back then, and the program that was airing as a modern day source. Because there was modern day because I knew Dark Shadows was from the 60s. I saw the copyright at the time. But here's these other shows that are not from the 60s, that are from your current timeline in the 90s, and you had Friends, you had Frasier, you had Seinfeld, you had Monday Night in the fall, you had Monday Night Football, and but all for my generation, it was Monday Night Nitro and Monday Night Raw. It was the Attitude Era. It was, by God, I never thought I'd ever see anything dethrone Steeler football, talking Steeler football in the fall. And wrestling did it in that era, and that was something. Wow. And how dark, the thing to me is, I'm watching Dark Shadows at the time, and I'm talking Dark Shadows, wrestling, and football. And people are like, "Wait, what's Dark Shadows?" I'm like, "It's this old 60s show that, to me, I'm talking about now amongst these other programs that are currently on." And that's how interesting Dark Shadows is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I get it. Yep.
And a quick shout out to old school Monday Night Football. It's one of the things that my dad and I would share. And you're talking about the Steelers. We're going all off topic, but I remember the whole Terry Bradshaw era. You know, I was in San Diego Charger fan, and you know, there was just not, and everybody watched it. It was a national communal event. So
I,
that good choice there.
I remember when Natron Means, big running back for the Chargers, just ran all over the Steelers defense. My God.
Well, you know
Joel,
what?
that we're a season ticket.
What was that? I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Susie. I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead.
Well, I was in the San Diego Stadium in 1979 when the Steelers came to town, and we beat them 35-7, and the whole city was in shock. I mean, I'm sorry, we're really digressing, but yeah, I'm a big football old school NFL person. Those were great years. Great years.
Go ahead, Susan.
Oh no, I was gonna say just you know, I know that I think I asked you what during the Super Bowl or before who your team was, and I know that we talked a little bit about that. I know you said that you liked the what did you say? Oh, the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
And I was
Well,
surprised.
my mother, she told me, she goes, you can root for her however you want. And I'm like, all right, I don't really want to root for the Steelers. So I watched the Seattle Seahawks on a Monday night football game. And it was when they were in the AFC. So this is how old this is. I think this was like in the 90s. But they beat somebody barely. And I'm like, I like them. I like them.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's when they played in the old Kingdom and stuff.
Hey,
It's like,
Well, you know, we have a lot of transplants here, you know, living in LA and by the beach, a lot of people that come from all over the places and all over the place. And so there's times that like if we want to go out to watch the game and I'll tell Mr. Evans like, you know, I want to, oh, that place looks lively. Oh no, you don't want to go in there. It's a Steelers bar. So yeah, I know that Steelers fans are pretty wild.
well, here, a friend of mine, it's funny, we were talking about bars, and a friend of mine goes, you know why I don't go to a bar at night? I leave a bar before sundown. I said, no, why do you leave a bar before sundown? He goes, well, son, that's when the vampires come out. I'm like, wait, what?
Ah.
He goes, he's like, he's like, it's when the crazy people come out. I'm like,
yeah, that's
oh.
true.
Well, that would be very, very true at the Blue Whale, wouldn't it? Like literally, the vampires come out. We have to get out of there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bring your I'll bring the crucifix. Don will bring the garlic. Susie will bring the steak. We'll be good. We'll be good. We'll be good. I'll be the designated driver. You guys can drink.
Oh, yeah. How cool would that be? Oh my gosh. You did a podcast about the Blue Whale, and Don and I talk about it sometimes, or we've brought it up. It was so good.
Yeah,
We love
that
that.
story was really. I love that story.
Yeah, like I wanted to do another story, but I've been so busy we've been so busy with the kids because school is like in full force. Like my kids go to school all year round, and we've been so busy. My son, he needed some help with his schoolwork, so we got him some extra help. So we've had to like do other things, and he's been doing a lot better. So we cut back on the help, and he's still doing great. So I told him how, like when I put, I'm so proud of these two because I watched my son. He was struggling with his schoolwork, and as a father, you sort of feel like, am I failing my son? And just then to watch him turn it around and just continue that turnaround is, it makes you happy. It makes you feel good, and that's something we're proud of. Is our kids. It's like I love doing this. I love having fun with everybody here, but I a lot of the reason I've been cutting back on some things is because my son needed help with schoolwork. So, but hopefully we'll pick back up on a lot of stuff.
Yeah. No. It's awesome.
What do you got? What's okay, Nicholas Blair. Sorry, we got off topic. What's was the most shocking thing about Nicholas to you guys?
The most shocking thing about Nicholas. Um, gosh, I I don't know. I was kind of shocked with the advice he gave Adam about how to treat a woman. That was kind of shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, you gotta lie, you gotta cheat, you gotta grab them, and I'm like, where the hell is this coming from? Especially after like he had just got done talking to Carolyn in that soft-spoken manner of understanding, and then all of a sudden it's like, and I'm like, wow, okay. So I mean, I was pretty shocked at that.
I guess I don't know if this is shock. It was shocking to me, but it where he really showed how much power he had, and it was a shocking moment is when they were trying to do the transfer and Carolyn was involved and she died, and I'm going, oh shit, how are they going to get through this? And he said, and then later on, like a day or two later, I've already taken care of it, because Barnabas was like, how am I going to tell Elizabeth? And he's knocking on the door, and Carolyn answers it. And he actually, so Nicholas restored Carolyn back to life. I'm going, oh shit, this guy has
Oh
a lot
yeah.
of power. And it's like, and part of me was, well, he had to do it because he knew that it would have been so disruptive in Collinwood to have her die. But part of me wants to say it was a humane thing, but it was like I had to process it. I was just like in shock that he did that, or he had that power to do that. So that was my shocking moment.
No, you're right.
Hey, that's a good one.
You're right though too, because he hits for Nicholas. Carolyn is a means to an end.
Mm-hmm.
If she dies here, and they do tell her it's endgame, like he can't. It would just be another distraction for him, and he's already got so many going on. So what's he do? He uses his power to restore her. Like, okay, snap it. This is like a Thanos snap moment, but times 12. Fucking
Yeah,
bringing Carolyn back to life. Oh
yeah,
my god. Oh my god. Oh. And
yeah. That's a
here's
good one.
Don. Are you there, buddy? What happened? Did we lose him?
Maybe he's just stuck.
I think so. I think so. I'll talk, and then if he pops back up, that'd be great. But my most shocking moment is when Nicholas knows it's endgame and the devil's coming for him. He like takes off running. He's just
Yeah.
running. It's like he looks like he has this look like the world's gonna end, and he's just running for his life. And then when finally he gets caught, he gets boom, he gets zapped, and then Barnabas has this big smile on his face. It's like,
Yes, that was that. I mean, I don't think I've seen Barnabas smile like that ever. I mean, he was like,
uh,
can you hear him? I can't.
what was Don? We can't hear you, buddy.
Oh shoot! Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, yes,
Okay. Were you guys talking about when Nicholas goes up in flames?
yes, yes.
Oh my God. I call that the Barnabas shit eating grin. It
Yes.
was the SEG squared out. And he was like, I loved it. It was because you're right, Susie. I don't think we ever saw him smile that much in the entire run of the show. Thank you for guys for bringing that up.
It was Jewel who brought it up, and I was like,
Oh,
oh,
okay.
I forgot about that. I was like, oh yeah, that's
That was the
true.
mother of all SEGs. You're totally on it.
And you know what's funny? Like I was telling Susie, like when he realizes like the jig is up, he's got this look on his face like the world's gonna end. He takes off running for his life, and then when he
Mhm.
gets zapped, Barnabas sees it, and he's got this, like you said, he's got this big shit-eating grin. He's smiling at her. That's the happiest I've seen Barnabas this whole time. And this man's been married once. And it's like, for the love of God. It's like, it took the death of Nicholas to get that reaction. It's like, Barnabas is a sick, sick man. And I love him for it. I love him for
love it. It was fucking
This-
so perfect. I should. Well, I've been using the same emoji or whatever for all of my social medias. I should just take a picture of that and like start using that because that was so perfect. Yeah, it was almost like maybe something in, I don't know, behind the camera, somebody made him like, I don't know. It was just perfect.
It was.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was Lila's direction or just I don't know who got him to do that, but it was great because it was revenge, because by getting rid of Nicholas, that he knew he could get Angelique, or he really liked to win. He hated to lose. Barnabas, and if he lost, he had his complete focus on how to get the win over that loss.
Yeah.
Is there anything you guys want to add about Nicholas?
Oh my gosh. Let's see. I was surprised. Are we going to go forward, or how did you?
Oh, well, with Nicholas, we're talking Nicholas, the character.
Okay.
Right.
Blair. But like, what else? What's something? Is there anything you want to add about Nicholas specifically?
I'd like to.
I do want to ask two questions. One, the house that Roger let him stay at, was that house, the house by the sea, was that the house that was meant to go to Victoria and Burke? Or is that a different house?
I believe it's a different house, because the house we see doesn't look that kind of vast, and it's more closer to the ocean. That house does not look like it's close to the ocean that he's living in. But again, my interpretation, I could be wrong. So
I wasn't sure.
But that's my interpretation, is that they gave him another house on the estate somewhere. Now, if it is, I will say this, that would be shocking, because here's the thing. They couldn't let anybody live in Caleb's house until 1971 because of the lease, because of the will. Caleb Sayers Collins had it in his will that nobody, including the Collins, could live in his house until 1971, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
What's your other question, Susie?
Oh, the other one is that thing that he used to hypnotize people. Was that a cigarette case?
It was
with the diamond, because I don't think I ever saw him smoke.
It was, but it was a magical. It was a magical cigarette case.
Okay. I always remember looking at it like, what the hell is that?
It's a cigarette case you'll never find in any store.
Yeah.
Except except on that store, the old Friday the 13th TV series.
Yes.
That's where it came from.
Absolutely. That came from Rod Serling's collection. No. But yeah, that's here's my question. I have one question for you guys with Nicholas, with concerns to Nicholas. Do you honestly think he started off as a human being, or do you think he was born with the powers he had?
That is a really good question. I think, oh gosh, I think he was born with them. Yeah. I mean, yeah, my vote is he was born with them.
Don?
Well, yeah, I think he was definitely at least part human because he had a capacity for love, and but he was born with something because he was pretty powerful, and I don't know I couldn't tell you where the origins of that was, but yeah, I think he was born with something. It might have been something good, and he just went bad.
Yeah.
You think that they both did something, like they both fell in, well, that like Angelique and whoever was in their coven or whatever, like fell in love a long time ago, and then they wanted to be with that person, and then they sold their soul or whatever to Diablos or the devil or whoever, and then they were granted these magical powers, and but then they had to like live out like some sort of curse. I don't know. It's hard to say. I wish that we'd have like, I don't know, a backstory, like way backstory.
My guess is this, and I'm going to include Judah Zachary in all this madness too. That once Judah Zachary cursed Angelique, when she turned on him, she found out she had these powers. So she goes to hell to the devil and says, I don't really want to have these powers. And the devil goes, you have no choice. But if you serve me, I'll protect you from Judah if he ever comes back. But if you cross me, all bets are off. And I think that's where Diablos really comes into play. But here's the rules with Diablos. You got to stay away from church. You can't go anywhere near church. Stay away from God. If you do, see what I just said about Judah Zachary. But that's where I think that sort of lies with Angelique, that you can have the curse of Judah Zachary, and you can have your Diablos cake too.
Ah,
That's good.
I try.
no, you're so good. That's why I've always told you I love to hear you talk. There's so much insight, and it's like, yeah, it gets you to think, and it's like, yeah.
Well, here's the thing too. Like if you're cursed, just because you're cursed doesn't mean you can't add to your power. It's all in your mind. It's all in the mindset of the person. There's two different mindsets between Angelique and Barnabas. Barnabas learns the black arts. So if Barnabas learned the black arts, who's to say Angelique didn't go down into hell and talk to Satan about, well, this guy cursed me. What can I do? Well, I can't really do anything for you, but you can serve me and I'll protect you from him from now on. And she crosses Diablos too, eventually. Good old Angelique.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, I just shut my window. It was raining.
Oh.
Oh goodness. Where'd the dog go? Did we lose him again?
Oh, maybe.
Oh. But he's really, that's the thing too. Like with Nicholas, if Nicholas is human, when did he become a warlock? So I would probably say about, we'll say 16th century, before the 1700s, because Barnabas does say he remembers meeting him. So probably about that time where the devil made a deal with him, and he leaped at it, for whatever reason. We don't know his full reasons, but he was human at one point. Let me see if I can get Dawn back. But that's all I really have for Nicholas, is because it's so crazy. Oh, he's unavailable now.
Oh, he must have lost his internet or something.
I think so. It's raining here too, so.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I had to do. That's the slam you heard was my window. What happened? Oh my gosh! But what do you overall? as a villain, where would you rank Diablo, or sorry, not Diablos, but Nicholas Blair amongst the Judah Zachary's, the Count Batofas? Where do you put him as a threat?
Um, well, I'm gonna put him as a real big threat. I mean, maybe not so much as them, but he had this strategy. He had this plan because wasn't wasn't he the one that kind of brought that portrait into Collinwood? Not him physically, but wasn't that like that kind of got the whole thing started? Wasn't he the one?
Yeah, actually, he does bring the call. You're right. He does bring the portrait of Angelique into a antique shop,
Right,
and that's because that's where we have Professor Stokes says, "Wait a minute, didn't I see you take the
right.
portrait into?" And then but he knows he did. You know, Professor Stokes isn't mistaken about it. But he's like, "Oh no, no, you didn't see me."
Yeah.
You know, he's gonna lie through his teeth. But it's really, really interesting. You're right. He does get the ball rolling on Angelique coming to the present.
Yeah, so I think
Absolutely.
he's like a mastermind, type of villain, where instead of like doing something really on impulse, he's more, he thinks it out. So, he knows um outcomes, and so, like, for example, with the dream curse, how Cassandra wanted Victoria to tell the dream to Barnabas. He tells her to write a letter, and she's like, well, he's gonna know that it's my writing, and he says, no, it's not gonna be your writing, it's gonna be Victoria's writing. And it's like,
Mm,
wow, like he thought of that.
mm,
So he was already ahead of her. So yeah, I think, I you know what I mean. I think he's more of a thinking,
yeah, villain.
yeah,
He's more of a Lex Luthor type of villain in a way. He's
yeah,
very smooth. He's very laid back, but he yells when he has to. Like
yeah,
you're saying, and like you're right. The spell to make Cassandra's writing Victoria's is criminally underrated. It's really
yeah,
good. It's
yeah.
like you're a sick man. You're a sick man. But that's it's like really, really. Who's your favorite football team, Susie?
Oh my gosh. You know what? My favorite, I've been rooting for the New York Jets for the last maybe 2 decades. Um, and it's because when I got into the NFL, LA didn't have a team. And
Yeah.
I was thinking about teams to root for. And of course, the California teams, I didn't like the 49ers. I didn't like the Raiders. And I didn't like the Chargers. Sorry, Don, wherever you are. So I knew I had family on my dad's side that lived in New Jersey, and even though I never met them, like, I was told that they were Jets fans, and so I kind of just started rooting for the Jets, and I've been a Jets fan ever since. Although, as of late, I haven't been as devoted to it as I used to be.
There's no time like the present, Susie. See, I've been watching football ever since I was a kid, so it's like, and I watch it every fall. I told my wife, I said, that as long as I can watch football, I don't care what else I watch. Like I don't, because I have DVDs. I can watch all the horror movies I want on DVD.
Yeah.
I don't need television to see horror movies. But
Yeah.
I do need television. I do need television to watch football.
Oh
So,
yeah. Yeah.
so like I remember like when the Seahawks had the AFC logo compared to the NFC, where the Seahawk was all sad looking and now it's all mean looking. It's like, and the colors are like darker now. They're not like all bright, and like in your. See, that's the word. Like the NFC teams, some of them did have bright colors. Like the old Niners uniforms were like a. They were like a what was the color? A creamsicle orange color.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you could spot their uniforms from space for fun. Like they're so bright. Like your eyes are like ah.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be like Robert De Niro here. I wouldn't say too much about the bright colors because those Seahawks, that fluorescent green, I don't know.
So yeah, that's the thing too. Like we wear these bright green colors. I'm like, wait, like the only green in the Seahawk is like the light, like the little. They got one little speck of green, so they take the green and they make it their one home jersey color. Which part of it I like, but it's like it doesn't need to be all the time your home jersey. Wear the blue. Wear the blue with the green, not the green with the blue. This isn't reversal day, people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember John Kitna was our quarterback, and he was okay. He was okay. But yeah, I remember Joey Galloway and stuff like that. I'm old.
You're not old.
I'm 40, girl. I'm old. I'm old.
I'm old enough to be your big sister.
No, you're not. No, you're not. No. You don't look a day over 28. You're lying. You're lying. Anyway, but it's crazy that like with sports, like how like because here like in where I live in Pennsylvania, like everything's the Steelers or the Eagles.
Yeah.
And so it's like somebody will ask me, what do I think of the Steelers' chances? And I'm like, well, this year I think they'll be pretty good because your offense should be better. And if not, you not only need to fire Matt Canada, you need to fire your head coach. But especially after the trade they just made. But they got Allen Robinson from the Rams, and it's like Jesus Christ, like are the Rams having a fire sale or what? But like who what did the Steelers do for them lately? Like I don't know. Like when teams make a trade and the other team like got the better of the deal, it's like who did you kiss? Like who did you like seriously, what favor did you do to get that deal? Seriously, it's like I have to question these things. Like are you hoping the Jets get Aaron Rodgers or
no? Absolutely not. And it's like, I follow all of this Jets news on Twitter, and it's just going on, and it's like, oh my God, well, if you're gonna come over, then just do it. And it's been dragged out for so long.
Here's what I would do if I were the Jets. I would trade my second, my third, my fourth, and my next year number one. Not for Aaron Rodgers, but for Lamar Jackson. Now, I don't think the Ravens are going to do that now because they signed Odell Beckham Jr. But do you really want a 39-year-old quarterback? I don't know. Aaron Rodgers. He's a good player. He's a good player, but 39.
Yeah.
And that debate, like, here's the thing. I think, like, I don't know how good the Patriots will be, but I do know if the Jets get do get Aaron Rodgers, you're going to be better than the Patriots. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Like Jesus Christ. Like that's a whole. I don't think I have any more questions for you guys. We lost Dawn in the process, unfortunately.
Yeah, we did. He must have ran out of juice or out of internet.
Well, how are you
later? See what happens.
Or you said next Friday you're good too, right?
Next Friday? Yeah. I don't have. I mean, Fridays are pretty clear. I don't go out on Friday nights anymore. So.
Okay. So let's talk for a fun Friday night. Let's talk about the wedding of Barnabas and Angelique. That'll be fun.
That will be fun. Yeah, let's do it.
The wedding and the wedding reception. It involves a bullet. And that'll be my fun part. Hey, when you have a wedding, you have to have a wedding receptions. Unfortunately, not all receptions have a cake. Mine had a cake. Susie's had a cake. Barnabas's had a flintlock and a bullet and a bat. Anyway, we'll make sure
Yeah,
Dawn
let's do it.
we'll make sure Dawn is good for Friday. Tell him, send him a
Yeah,
message on Twitter. But
yeah, for sure.
I'll see you guys next Friday at 10:30. It'll be lots of fun.
Yay, I'm
Weddings are
excited.
weddings are
Okay,
great
let's do
until somebody dies. Um, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Oh my gosh, Susie. To Dawn, thank you. When you hear this, Susie, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me and for having us. And yeah, let's do it next Friday for sure.
Absolutely. I like your Titanic poster. I have a King Kong poster that is really cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, we have two of them. It's just it was a Paramount film, and my husband did work for Paramount, and that's why
Yeah.
they're autographed. That's why we have them.
Have you ever heard of the sinking of the Lusitania?
Have I heard of it?
Yes.
Yes. Do I
Very,
know
very,
much about it? No.
very, very tragic. It was sunk by a submarine, a German U-boat. Um, a torpedo landed into its side, and it's believed that the Lusitania was carrying munitions. A cruise liner was carrying munitions, carrying ammo,
Oh,
um, because the British were at war with the Germans. There's a movie about it. I'll send it to you on Twitter.
yeah,
Really, really good.
you.
Really, really good. But for Don Schmidt, for Susie, I'm Joel Saints. Again, thank you both, and I'll see you guys next Friday. Bye, Susie.
Hi, Joel.